Let's dive right into an explainer that is, frankly, going to fundamentally challenge how you perceive the world around you. We're going to completely strip away the illusion of duality. Today, we're exploring a deeply profound philosophical concept known as coalescence, or union. It's a fascinating look at the core fabric of our reality, and more importantly, the massive gap between how our minds work and what reality actually is. Section 1. The Mind's Dual Machine. So, we have to start by addressing what is essentially a foundational glitch in human perception. Look, our mind basically operates like a dual machine, right? It's constantly turning out opposites, up and down, self and other, good and bad. It literally divides everything it touches. But here's the catch. True reality is entirely undividable. Reality itself isn't actually composed of these opposites. It exists as a seamless, unified whole. And this massive disconnect between how our mind processes the world and how the world actually exists, well, that is the root of an awful lot of our confusion. Section 2. The Principle of Coalescence. To resolve this massive perceptual mistake, we turn to the philosophy of a brilliant 19th century Tibetan Nyingma master, Jamgön Mipham Rinpoche. His foundational principle, coalescence, is basically the ultimate fix to our divided mind. In Tibetan, the term is zung, and in Sanskrit, it's yuganaddha, which translates to unity or indivisibility. It tells us that reality is actually the non-dual union of these polarities we think we see, so they aren't actually separate at all. They are fundamentally united. And the absolutely crucial point here is that by truly understanding this union, we liberate ourselves. We get free from that exhausting, conditioned, conceptual proliferation our minds are just constantly generating. By seeing how opposites actually unite, we literally stop being slaves to the endless slicing and dicing our dualistic minds perform every single second of the day. It's a real game changer. Section 3. Examples of the union. As you might guess, this principle applies to absolutely everything. In Madhyamaka philosophy, the union of opposites is applied everywhere. You have the union of the two truths, so dependent origination and emptiness, or the relative and the absolute. It applies to the three spheres of any action, which is the subject, the action itself, and the object. It applies to the source and its manifestations, and even all the way to the union of samsara and nirvana. Basically, everywhere you look, what appears as distinct, separate things is actually a non-dual union. In fact, if you can name a concept, there is a union for it. There are literally as many unions as there are concepts in the human mind. And in all of these cases across the board, the union of opposites always boils down to two vital dynamics: the interdependence of those opposites and the emptiness of those opposites. Section 4. Decoding the true meaning. Okay, to truly grasp this, we need to decode the exact mechanics of what union, or coalescence, really means when we apply it to these dualities. It relies on two core dynamics. First up, T1, interdependence. Apparent opposites are completely inseparable and dependently co-arisen. I mean, think about it. You can't possibly have a concept of up without a concept of down, right? They co-evolve and are co-imputed by the mind as mere designations. They're just conventional tools we use to navigate the world. Then we have T2, emptiness. Because they only exist relative to each other, these apparent opposites are entirely empty of inherent independent existence. They are never absolute. And because they lack this inherent existence, these apparent opposites are entirely illusory. They function much like reflections in a mirror, a mirage in the desert, or even an echo. They have a conventional reality. You can hear an echo after all, but if you try to reach out and grab it, there's nothing solid there. They are quite simply there yet not there. This brings us to a profound philosophical tool called the tetralemma. Because opposites lack inherent existence, they actually defy all four corners of basic logic. Take any duality. They are not different, but they are also not identical. They're not separate, but they aren't united. And critically, pay attention to this part. They are not both, and they are not neither. This exact logic applies to whether they are many or one, pure or impure, continuous or discontinuous, or simply this or non-this. The true reality of the union just totally escapes all our rigid mental boxes. Navigating this kind of mind-bending logic leads us directly to the middle way. The absolute best attitude toward any apparent opposite is one that is entirely free from all extremes, free from declaring it's this or non-this, and even free from that middle ground of both or neither. Because reality simply isn't a dualistic machine, there is absolutely nothing to accept or reject in absolute terms. Section 5, Finding Ultimate Liberation. So how do we actually apply this profound realization to our day-to-day experience? How does it change the way we walk through a world that seems so incredibly dualistic? Well, this brings us to a beautiful concept called acting without acting, which gives us a clear step-by-step approach. Step 1, we still use apparent opposites conventionally. We still use doors to go inside and outside, but we never use them in absolute terms. Step 2, we use them without attachment, without making them solid or reifying them, and without absolute effort. And step 3, we use them while remaining fully consciously aware of their true nature and dynamic. We interact with the mirage, perfectly knowing it's a mirage. When we do this, we arrive at primordial purity. Ultimately, we can perceive all apparent opposites of any duality as primordially equal, pure, perfect, complete, and divine. We see them as one, but remember, strictly in the non-dual sense we just learned about from the tetralemma. Not this, not non-this, not both, and not neither. They are perfectly unified in their emptiness and their interdependence. And this brings us to the ultimate takeaway from Jamgön Mipham Rinpoche's philosophy, elegantly summarizing the entire goal of this path. We aren't trying to destroy conventional truths here. We're trying to realize their nature. Liberation is to be able to use those conventional truths without being a slave to them. I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to reflect on as you go about your day navigating the endless dualities of life. Look closely at the concepts you rely on. Are you using your concepts as conventional tools, or are your concepts and the dualistic mind that creates them using you? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this helps you see the world just a little bit clearer.